the purpose of this patch is to take input from my webcam feed and detect movement, and uses data, visualizes data, and then use it for sonification purpose. So step by step here, I take the webcam input and use the digit grab object, and use a matrix to store all this information. So I'm using the computer vision survey library to calculate I use the blob drawing technique. So I use these objects to calculate the centers and to calculate and draw the centers of these blobs. Computer vision is in black and white, so here I do the background subtraction, and I compare the current frame to the previous to isolate the movement. So if I stop, there's nothing. And I use a thresholding here to change the sensitivity of my system. Here also there's a blob labeling to identify different groups of pixels. Then I use this object to calculate their centers, and here the data is converted into list of numbers for more interpretation. And then here is visualize the output. Here you can change the details, how sensitive it is. So now we go to the sonification part. So I'm sending from this object is Androids. I send the values here, and I use the iter object to get the output. So I have three values. It's the x1 and the position of the blobs and their size. Use the unpack object to have three distinct values to use for the sonification. So my sound has two generators. I will first explain the sine wave oscillator. So the x-coordinate of the centroids control the pitch of the oscillator. So I have scaled, I have mapped their values from 0 to 640, which this is the size of the width of my video. I mapped it from 0 to 640 to 0 to 28, so it's 29 values. It corresponds to the values I have stored here in the call object for presets. It's 29 MIDI values that are in the minor scale and are many octaves just to have its outcome or result. So I scale this information here. I map it, and I use the speed limit object to send information every 250 milliseconds just to have more clear sound, otherwise glitchy. Here I use the change object to just send the value when you have changed to be even more clear. Here I call the presets, and then I use the MIDI to frequency to change the values to as an input for the oscillator. Here I use these objects to make it sound smoother, the changes from each note. And then here I have the volume of my oscillator and send it to a filter. So send to low pass filter, and the cutoff of the filter is controlled by my coordinate of the blobs. So it's mapped to from 0 to 480, which is the height of my video, and it's mapped to 500 to 5000 hertz. And this is the resonance of my filter. So as you see, I control the frequency of the cutoff with my Y position, and then everything is sent here to multiply objects because I use the size of the blob to control the volume of the oscillator. So I saw again that the values of the blobs are the maximum is around 13,000. So I mapped from 0 to 30,000 to 0 to 1 to be my volume. And I use these two objects to send information slower to avoid clipping the sound and be more smooth again. And here is multiplied and it's sent to a limiter to avoid for protection from protection, and this is the output of my sound for the oscillator. Then the other source of sound is MIDI. So again, I take from the presets, I take the MIDI values, and I use the make note objects to have MIDI to create MIDI note from here I use again the size of the blobs to control the duration of the note. So the bigger the blob, the more duration the note. And here I just use to control different sounds. And that's it. Here my presentation.